when your payload dispersion model doesn't account for wind direction.
Goodbye, Mother!
Gosh darn it, Walter!
If sarcasm were a power source, these two could run the grid for a decade.
And behind this door, Armond is evaluating Dylan's load-bearing capacity. See, right here, look!
Do not open that door. Sorry, Indy, that is not for kiddies back there. See, there's tons of engineering all over the White Lotus, so Indiana and Serenity are gonna teach you a little bit about material science, thermodynamics, and control systems, but in a really silly way, using all of your favorite characters from the White Lotus as representative examples.
Shane and Rachel are newlyweds on their honeymoon. They reserved the pineapple suite, but Armond double-booked that room, and instead gives them a different amazing suite that anybody else would have loved. But Shane legally changes his name to Karen and asks to speak to the manager. And the whole series is a constant 1v2 escalation. Armond versus Shane and Shane's mommy.
Am I interrupting?
Most materials break when they're subjected to stress that exceeds their ultimate strength, as seen on a stress-strain diagram. But these three characters represent three other ways that materials can fail due to stress: Armond, fatigue; Shane, creep; and Rachel, buckling.
Poor Armond. He's got Shane constantly buzzing in his ear about the room. He's got the girls bugging him about their bag of drugs. There's mystery fluids on the lobby floor that need cleaning up. Married men leading him on at the bar. It's just one thing after the next.
Until one day, he decides to poop in the wrong man's litter box, and that is fatigue. Exposure to a normally manageable amount of stress, but repeated so many times that it leads to failure.
Some women might call Shane a creep, but in engineering terms, creep is when a material is loaded to a small amount of stress, safely below its breaking point, and that stress is just held constant for an extended period of time. Rachel urges Shane to get over it, but he just can't. He's given the wrong phone number by Armond.
Sent on a romantic boat ride with Stifler's mom's ashes, so Stifler's grandma's ashes.
His mom, Mary Catherine Gallagher, shows up and sort of eggs him on like, yeah, this isn't the room we booked, causing him to dig in deeper and maintain the stress longer. Power lines, due to their own weight and the heat from the sun, can sag more and more over time due to creep. And this constant stress is what causes Shane's ultimate failure due to creep.
Alexandra Daddario, President Obama's favorite actress, is maybe regretting getting married so fast. Shane wants Rachel to be a column, providing him support. But she's not quite ready to give up her career, which, if you listen to Principal Taylor, is being a clickbait listicle writer.
The interesting thing about buckling is that it depends on how your column is attached. If the top end is free to move and rotate without restriction, buckling is way more likely to occur. A fixed top joint constrained that is restricted, it's 4 times more resistant to buckling than a free end. These restricting forces at the top of the column help prevent the middle from popping outwards.
When we see her at the airport having decided to stay with Shane after all, if Rachel is a column and Shane is a fixed joint holding her in place, this actually protects her. It's freedom that would have made her more susceptible to buckling.
Asterisk, we're just explaining engineering concepts here in a silly way. I'm a single dude with 2 cats. Do not take your marriage advice from us.
Belinda is so hopeful. Tanya, with all her money, she offers to give Belinda startup funding to start her own wellness center. Belinda knows better than to trust Tanya, but over time, she does get her hopes up anyway.
Indiana's statement of the second law of thermodynamics is, while it's impossible for any thermal system to operate at 100% efficiency, it's even more impossible to exceed 100% efficiency.
Belinda represents exergy. Exergy is useful energy. Think of a wind turbine. You can't remove all of the kinetic energy from the wind because then the air on the back of the turbine would just sit there and no new wind could come through because it's in the way. So the air needs to retain some of its energy so it can get out of the way and the next air can come through. Belinda isn't all energy. Even better, she's the useful energy that can actually do work.
In that case, whatever is the exact opposite of exergy, that is Tanya. High maintenance is maybe a tad bit of an understatement for Tanya. Not only does she not do any useful work, she sucks the energy out of every situation. Armond uses her to torture Shane on his romantic dinner. Belinda spends all this time creating a business plan that never even gets read.
Tanya is my spirit animal.
Which White Lotus character is your spirit animal? Smash the like button and leave a comment with your favorite character. Every little bit helps us out so much, and we really appreciate your support.
Oh, I know. Maybe Tanya could be a cooling tower. All the leftover energy in the power plant, anything not converted into electricity, that all gets dumped out through a heat exchanger and floats up away in the form of glamorous, fluffy clouds. And look at those curves. Tanya's even got the hourglass shape of a cooling tower.
Then there's this guy, BLM, the Bureau of Land Management. You can't explain it, but civil engineers, they get all the chicks apparently, without even trying. Guy is actively avoiding Tanya half the time.
Maybe this makes him a flywheel. He has his own momentum, and when Tanya starts throwing all different versions of crazy at him, he just keeps on keeping on and doesn't really seem fazed by much of anything.
The Saving Silverman guy is a classic underdamped system. Very slow to figure things out, just keeps overcorrecting. He never knew about his dad being gay, never figured out Armond was hitting on him, didn't think his wife would be mad about him spilling the beans of him cheating on her to their son. Picture a suspension of an old Cadillac. You hit a speed bump, and it keeps slowly bouncing like it's riding the waves for a really long time before it finally settles in.
Nicole is basically a hoverboard mom, trying to stay balanced as her whole family tips in different directions.
Engineers call this a PB controller. Like a hoverboard, she adjusts based on how far things are tipping, that's proportional, and how fast they're getting worse, that's derivative.
Quinn sleeping in the kitchen, small tilt, minor correction. Mark tells the kids he's cheating on her, major tilt, bigger reaction.
And when Mark spirals about his testicles, she doesn't freak out because the situation isn't accelerating. That's the D part, no need to overcorrect. Besides, who needs testicles anyway?
The part she's not great at is memory. That's the integral I part of a PID controller.
Nicole keeps acting like every Olivia Quinn fight is the first one, but clearly it's not.
If she remembered the pattern, she'd be quicker to activate full mom boss mode. But nope, Olivia makes one sarcastic comment and Quinn runs straight to the beach. Again. Negative feedback loops are stable. Measure your error and correct for it. Positive feedback loops blow up. Olivia and Paula are a classic positive feedback loop. They play off each other to create bigger and bigger drama. And unfortunately, Kai gets caught in the crossfire. He tried to say no, but she pushed all the right buttons.
And next thing you know, he's being tackled by Mark, and his life is ruined. I don't know about you, but when I wake up in the morning, I have to use the litter box right away. I can't just immediately do a few hours of exercise without relieving myself.
So how can it be that this skinny kid, who hasn't even used a bathroom, is seen by this group of jacked islanders as a valuable member of their team?
Conservation of momentum. A rocket blasts off into space by shooting fuel out downward, pushing the rocket upwards in the opposite direction to cancel out the momentum. Clearly, Quinn has a legendary morning stream, like a rocket ship. He aims backwards and blasts their boat forwards, giving them a huge competitive advantage over all the other island canoe teams who always use their litter box like they're supposed to. Like me, because I'm a good kitty.
Boys are gross. If you liked this video, you should watch our severance video. Social engineering is a lot like regular engineering, just a little less math and a lot less ethics.